Hello friends, welcome back to the class. Today we'll start with the next important chapter of accounting, which is journal and ledger. This class or this topic will be divided into 3 or 4 parts. We'll start with journal. Journal in accounting, I can say, is as important as 1, 2, 3, 4 in maths, like understanding that or knowing alphabets like ABC in English. So journal plays that important role in accounting. So to start with journal, firstly we'll understand what is transaction. Transaction can be in the form of product, services, or a promise to buy or sell product or services. It means that when we are doing a transaction, it may be either because of selling or buying of product, selling or buying of services, or a promise to buy or sell the product or services. Like for example, if I say transaction with regards to product, it means we are buying a product or we are selling a product. When we are selling, we are receiving money. When we are buying a product, we are paying money. So in both the cases, these are transactions. Services, consider I am providing teaching services. I am providing teaching services. I am receiving money. So that's a transaction. Then comes a promise to buy or sell product or services. There are instances where you do not have money in hand. In that case, you promise either the buyer or the seller to pay the money or receive the money later. Okay, so that is a promise to buy the sale or product of services. In that case, like I mentioned, we do not pay instant cash or we do not get instant cash, but there is a promise which is involved to pay in the future. So transaction, it involves basically four things, which is product, services, promise to buy product or promise to buy or sell product, or promise to buy or sell services. To start with journal entry, what is the meaning of journal entry? In simple terms, when we record the transactions related to the business. Okay, we understood transaction in the first slide. So when we record those business transactions, like the transactions which are related to business in our accounting books, we call it journal. So it is the record of business transactions in the accounting books of the business. Okay, that is called the journal entry. If you understand transaction very clearly, it becomes easy to get this definition as well, like recording the business transactions in the accounting books, that is journal entry. Coming to the next one, which is understanding the journal entry. So journal entry is made up of two parts. What are those two parts? They are debits and credits. So in journal entry, we follow double entry system. It means any transactions which takes place, it is divided into two parts. Okay, like I gave you an example of buying a pen. When you buy a pen, you get a pen, you give money. Okay, so here this transaction is divided into two parts. The first part is buying a pen, the second part is giving the money. Okay, so that buying the pen and giving the money in the transaction, that is double entry. It means it affects two things. Okay, so for simplicity, I have mentioned that debit means positive and credit means negative. The way we use in maths, it's pretty similar to that. So I have given another example of double entry, like the stationery expenses will be debit, cash credit. I know you cannot understand why this is debited and why cash is credited. You will get this in the upcoming slides. But this is how a double entry transaction. In case of stationery, I just took the pen as an example. So in pen, when you're buying a pen and you are giving money, two things are involved in a transaction, which is double entry. The two important other terms related to journal entries are debits and credits. So whenever these two parts of a transaction will take place, remember that one will be debit and the other will be credit. Okay, we may have more than one debit, we may have more than one credit in a transaction, but we'll understand that in the later slide. But for simplicity, just understand that any transaction which takes place has a double effect or a double entry system. Firstly, it will be debit and the other one it will be credit. Okay. So first one, to understand what we get is debited, what we give is credited. Keep this very clearly in your mind that these rules need to be understood as well as by hearted. What we get is debited, whatever is coming in is debited, whatever we are giving is credited. Okay. So here I have taken a couple of examples related to product, services, the promise to buy product or services. So first one I have taken is buying a pen. And remember this, that what we get is debited, what we give is credited. So when you buy a pen, what happens? You get the pen. And what do you give? You give cash. Okay. So whatever we get is debited. So here we are getting pen from the shopkeeper, and what we are giving cash to the shopkeeper. So what we get is debited. So here we are getting pen will be debited, cash will be credited. Okay, so our entry will be pen debited to cash. We do not say cash credited, we rather say pen debited to cash. When we say to cash, it implies cash is credited. Okay, whenever we mention to, it means credit part is started. Okay, now we'll move to the next example. Again, what we get is debited, what we give is credited. When we are selling a bike, imagine you are selling a bike. What are you getting and what are you giving? When we sell a bike, what do we get? We get money in the form of cash. But what are you letting go? You're letting go of your bike. Okay. So you receive cash by selling bike, which is what we get is debited. Here you have got cash. It means cash will be debited. What you give is bike. So entry is debit in your journal, which is cash, and what will be credited is the bike. So cash debited to bike. Next example is in terms of services, teaching. Okay. So when we provide the service of teaching, or like I'm providing the service of teaching, what do I get? I get money. And what do I provide? I provide teaching services. So what do I get? I am getting cash. So for me, cash will be debited because that's what I get. And what is credited is I'm providing my teaching services, so that is credited. Okay. So if you see here, cash is debited and teaching services it's credited. Then moving on to the next example is we are availing the services of the maids or the servant services or anything like that. So when we are getting those services, in return what are we providing them? We are providing them cash. Okay, that is why they work for us. So we receive services of the maid. What we get is debited, and what are we giving? We are giving cash. So whatever we are receiving, we are debiting it. So we are receiving maid services and we are paying cash. So maid services will be debited and cash will be credited. Hope I am clear till here. I'll continue with the next part of this one in the next class. Thank you for watching.